So we are going to add motors. And the motors, we're going to use the never rest motors. I'm going to put a smaller gear on that, axle hub, and 4 of the button head cap screws. 1 for each side. And then let's see if we can't get some, the control. It's not the expansion hub we're going to be adding. It'll be a control hub. So we want to put all this together. Let's see if we can't get that done as well. So there's the control hub. All right, start with the motors. Put that right there. All right, we have our Pushbot. We want to make drive motors the active component. Go over to our Tetrix parts folder. Scroll down to motors and mounts. Oh, no, yep, there it is. The never rest motor. We want to insert one of those. Rotate this one around this way. Pull it out a bit. There we go. I need another one. I'm going to make a copy. I'm going to paste this one in, and I'm going to rotate it around 180 degrees. There we go. Go back to Tetrix parts. Now scroll down to the bottom here where we've got our motor collar. I want to insert a couple of these. There we go. One goes on that side. And I'm going to make a copy of that. Paste it in and rotate it around 180 degrees. Oh, wrong way. There's 180. Okay. We now need a gear. 40-tooth gear. That's oriented correctly. Take that. Need to add a second one, so copy, paste. Good. And now we need 4 screws for each side. So I'm going to go to the screws and nuts folder. Looking for the button head cap screw. Insert that. And I'm going to make copies now. I didn't drag that one far enough. There we go. Okay, 4 there. And let's put 4 on this side. Good, we got all the pieces now. Let's go ahead and put it together. I'm going to start with first motor, and I'm going to swivel around to this corner. I want to ground that motor. Actually, no, I don't. I'm going to ground, and I want to attach those later. So I'm not going to ground that. I'm going to ground the motor collar. And then I want to create a joint create a joint between the 40-tooth gear and the motor collar. Remember that the motor collar, this little extrusion, needs to stick into the gear. And that's not what I wanted at all. Let's try and grab that again. So a joint between this and this. That's better. And flip it around. There we go. Okay. There, that's a good view. More rigid joints between the screws and the gear. Remember, the screws are threaded and the motor hub is also threaded. So you always want to have the screws go through the gear and into the motor hub. Good. All right, the first one is together. Go ahead and unground now the motor collar. And we are going to create a joint which will have motion. It's going to have revolute motion. And we want that motion to be the void inside of the motor hub and the shaft of the motor itself. See, it's spinning there. We're going to drag that back a little bit. Pan over. We may end up moving this a little bit more later just so it lines up. That looks okay. I'm going to not do that. Let's see. As I spin around this, I want to be able to see the rotation, but I also want to see the flat spot on the axle. So when I grab this and swing it around, I want to line up that set screw with the flat part of the axle. There we go. Good. Now we can go ahead and insert the motor into the motor mount. So I want to create a joint. Now check the motion. It's going to be revolute from our last joint. So let's change that to rigid. And I want to grab this front ring on the motor and match that up to the front ring of the motor mount. Put it in like that. And now we can see, look at that, the gears, whoa, where'd they go? The gears are inside each other. They are not matching up well. Well, actually, they do look like side to side. They look really good. But, oh man, we almost got that spot on. I like that. Maybe a millimeter over. So I'm going to go look at that revolute joint. That is going to be under drive mounts. I can make this perfect, and I want to make that perfect. Let's edit that joint. So the offset is 18 millimeters. I'm going to make that 17 millimeters. See where that lands us. Oh, too far the other way. It's like halfway between. Okay. 17.5 millimeters. Bam, spot on. Okay, now we're going to look at the rigid joint that put the motor into the motor mount, and we want to rotate that around so that there's just a little bit of space between these two gears. You don't want the teeth too far apart, but you don't want them too close. You don't want that to be too tight. You want it to find in the Goldilocks zone, right? You want it just right, just right. And we got that turned on. Now I can take and I can rotate this motor, and I can make it closer, or I can make it further away. Let's put it at the very top. Let's see where we're at. So now it's a little bit too far away. I'll go show you this left side. And let's turn off that tire. It's right in the way, isn't it? All right, spinning around. Let's go ahead and assemble the other side now. I had changed the focus, the active component, away from drive motors to Pushbot. So I'm going to change it back to drive motors. I'm going to ground the second motor collar while I assemble these pieces together. I'm going to create a joint between 40-tooth gear and the motor collar. Flip that around. I'm going to insert the screws. There we go. Ungrounding now the motor collar. Oh, that's not what I wanted. That joint got messed up. What happened? Let's edit that joint. There we go. Now, a joint between, I need to grab that void. Let's see. That shaft. There we go. Oh, but I want that to be not a rigid joint. Not a rigid joint. I want that to be a revolute joint. Position, the end there. No, not 15 degrees. 15 millimeters that way. And then I also want to look at it and make sure that the set screw lines up with, there it is, the flat spot of the axle. Right there. Okay. Good. Now we're ready to insert the motor. Another joint, motion, rigid. Select that edge and that edge. There we go. And I'm going to rotate this up a bit. Up there. And let's check. See if that lines up. Oh, it's off a bit. Off a bit. Let's see, that'll be that revolute joint we need to adjust. It's like about 2 millimeters back. So instead of 15, I'm going to make that 17. What's 17.5 on the other side? Maybe it's the same here. Yep, it's going to be the same here. Good. And our spacing's a little off. We want to rotate that back up a little bit. We're a little too close. This joint. See if that's the right spot. It's a little too far away. One more time. There we go. That looks about right. Although that's still inside, so I think I'm going to have to change the rotation of this gear just a little bit. So, try 41. There we go. Is that daylight all around there? It is. Okay, finally, we got it. There we go.